Welcome back, Fantasy Endgame community. I'm Pierre here to help you with some waiver wire options among pitchers heading into the All-Star break. We appreciate all the support we've gotten from Fantasy Endgame, especially as we grow the baseball segment of our channel. If we get to 500 likes, you know what we're going to do to thank you, our new members, is we're going to do a giveaway for a Fantasy Endgame hat. Click that like button if you haven't already to be entered automatically. All right, we're going to talk about some young pitchers here, guys that could be giving a long look, especially as we get to the second half. Let's start with a guy who just came back from over 2-month stint on the IL. That's Nick Lodolo of the Cincinnati Reds. Now, Lodolo is obviously a high-end prospect, someone that we've been waiting for. He debuted, he was okay, and then he just missed a lot of time. So finally back. I was a little worried. He had a 2-start week heading into this week. I thought the second part of that, he might be a good option, but the first one was the Mets. You know, Mets have been great on offense. Didn't think he would necessarily go too deep in the game. He looked really good. He only went 4 2/3, but he did not give up a run against the Mets, and he struck out 8. And now he's up to 27 strikeouts in 19 innings on the season. We know he's got the whiff stuff, can command the zone consistently. I think he's a guy that you can pick up and kind of roll with. Hunter Green, same thing. Where I've talked about Hunter Green, the stuff is amazing. It's going to be inconsistent. We know this, but Lodolo, the ceiling is so high, it's worth taking a shot. All right, another exciting young pitcher who actually just got called up and made his first start in the majors tonight was Brayan Bello. Not Brian Fellows. Brayan Bello of the Boston Red Sox. He didn't do that great. Okay, so he went 4 innings against Tampa, gave up 6 hits and 4 runs, walked 3 while only striking out 2. Nothing to write home about there. You know what? A lot of fantasy owners who did pick him up already for that start have already dropped him, I'm going to guess. All right, now he gets Tampa, that same team again, next start. Usually seeing a team the second time around isn't good for a pitcher, but it might be better in this case. Look, Bello is a guy we know has the talent. He's got high strikeout upside. Didn't show it tonight. Also showed some command issues. A lot of these young pitchers we've seen this year have had great first and second starts, and then they fall apart. This might be the opposite case. This guy obviously had some nerves, you know, facing a tough team. I think he might do better second time around. No guarantees. I'm not saying you go out and start him right now, but he's still worth a speculative stash. This might be a guy you pick up if he's still out there or if somebody dropped him. Maybe don't roll him out in that second start, but keep him just in case. See what happens. All right, now I'm going to talk about a young starter who has not been called up yet, but it could happen soon. That is Meyer of the Marlins. He was their first-round pick a couple years ago. I mean, it's just a matter of time. Meyer's a guy who absolutely could get called up before or right after the All-Star break. I mean, he's got nothing left to prove in the minors. He's somebody who, in the minors, he's got a 0.98 whip, and he's holding batters to a 192 batting average, 27.6% strikeout rate. He has everything as far as arm talent. He did have some injury issues that might have slowed his development this year, and so he hasn't got called up yet because of that. Meyer is somebody who you have to be interested in. I think he's going to be put in the rotation when he does come up. The Marlins do need help there. Look, they're technically still in the wild card race, believe it or not. So Meyer, the upside, absolutely worth a stash. I'm not sure when he'll get the call, but again, we always want to be ahead of the game. So if you have room, if you have an NA spot on your bench, grab him now. All right, let's talk about some closers now. Well, technically, Trivino is the closer in Oakland. It's been kind of musical chairs there. Thought he would be the closer to start the year, but so far it was Danny Jimenez who looked really good. He's been on the shelf, not sure when he'll come back. And then AJ Puck had the chance, blew it. Looks like he's not closer material, at least not just yet. Trivino is the veteran. Look, let me not sugarcoat it too much there. He's been terrible, really, this season, honestly. His ERA is almost 7. His whip is 2. That is bad as you can get. But that was mostly early in the season, and as it turns out, he's got 4 saves in the last 2 weeks, and he's settling down. Now, this is a short-term ad only for a couple of reasons. First of all, Jimenez should be back at some point. But second of all, Trivino, I think all season has basically been trade bait. I keep talking about this with Oakland. Look, they already sold off a lot of pieces before the season. It's going to happen before the deadline. They will probably trade a guy like Trivino, not to be a closer somewhere else. Mind you, of course, it'll be just to be a setup guy, a veteran presence in a bullpen for a contending team. So good chance he goes and becomes a 7th inning, maybe 8th inning arm for some other team. So if you need saves this week, next week, yeah, you can go ahead and roll out Trivino. After that, I don't think he'll have much value, but if you do need saves in the meanwhile, then why not? And then a guy who just did pick up a save, but don't get too excited. He's not the closer in LA. Brusdar, Graterol. He is now the setup man, though. Craig Kimbrell's still there. You know, he's been a little hurt lately. He'll be fine, and he's still the guy, of course, in the 9th inning. But it looks like next in line is Graterol because Daniel Hudson out for the season. Look, the Dodgers have a really talented bullpen. I thought Alex Vesia would be the guy who maybe be next up, but Graterol does have experience closing games, and they went to him in the postseason, right? Recently, he's been a guy they've trusted, so I think he is next in line. If something happens to Kimbrell, then you have a high-end potentially closer in Graterol. He strikes out about a batter per inning. ERA is okay, 3.55. He should be doing better. His expected ERA is 2.77. He's got a 1.03 whip. Despite being a young pitcher, he does have pretty good experience both in late innings and high pressure situations, so he could be a very reliable late inning arm. Maybe a stash here if you do have Kimbrell. He's a guy that you want to kind of have on your bench, or if you're just in a league that either counts holds or has enough relief pitcher spots that he could help you out without needing to get saves, he's definitely somebody to watch. All right, those are my picks for week 14, right before All-Star break. We'll be back with some more action after the break for the second half. Always here to help you win, guys, with our waiver wire options. Check out hitter version of this video as well. And remember, like for a chance to win that giveaway.